Back in the election campaign of 2012, Mitt Romney said that Russia was America's biggest geopolitical foe. And people in this administration and the president ridiculed him for that. Did he see things more clearly than the Obama White House?
Well, I've thought about that question. And I think, at that time, that was not our analysis. At that time, geopolitically, we saw the biggest threat as the terrorist threat. I think in the long term, in terms of American security policy, China is going to be a much more powerful country than Russia. So China takes up a lot of our attention. Not that they have to be a foe per se, but there's certainly massive competitive elements in the U.S.-China relationship. And in 2012, I don't think we'd seen Putin, fully press the envelope as far as he has today. But I think that clearly that has been the case in our second term. So I think, geopolitically, Russia is posing an enormous threat to the international order, and in that regard, I think the voices of skepticism and concern about Russia, can say, we have to recognize that they're a threat to the entire national order. Now, I still think to this day, and you can see this a little bit even in what's taken place, that again, Russia poses this immediate threat to kind of international order and stability. China is a much more powerful country and is much more positioned to be a competitor to the United States in a way that Russia can't. I mean, Russia's economy is a fraction of the size of ours and China's. Russia is a nuclear power, and a power that asserts itself through aggression, particularly in its own neighborhood. But China is a country that is truly going to play the role of a world power. So I think long term, we'd make a mistake to take our eye off of that longer term competition that has been emerging. And I think we'd also make a mistake to turn that into confrontation by picking fights over issues related to Taiwan or territorial disputes.
But you talked about China being a much bigger country and therefore perhaps something that the US should concentrate more on. Are you concerned about the military expansion by China in the South China Seas and the incident just a few days ago when one of your drones was taken out of the water by the Chinese?
I am concerned about it, and I always felt like the South China Sea was going to be an issue that the next administration was going to have to really focus on. Because China has kind of crossed a threshold of military capability wherein their long-standing territorial claims are now being backed up by the building of structures or the more aggressive deployment of military resources. And this is an incredibly resource-rich environment that the global economy depends upon. The claims are so wildly divergent that there's all kinds of risk for escalation with a Vietnam or Philippines or Malaysia or Japan. This is a part of the world where the United States has been an anchor of stability and has a lot of military activity. So I think we need to find a stable equilibrium where China plays a role that it's going to have to play as a big and powerful country, but is not able to run roughshod over smaller countries in pursuit of its own claim.
Is that a concern for you then as you come to your final days in the White House, that things like Cuba and the Iran deal and the stance you've taken on China will all be undone after January 20th and the next president of the United States is sitting in the White House?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a concern. We believe that the results speak for themselves and that these are the right approaches. On the Iran deal, there are horrible consequences of tearing up the deal. The United States would be isolated. We'd have trouble enforcing sanctions on Iran because why would other countries cooperate with us after we blew up a deal that we negotiated? China is a much more powerful country and is much more positioned to be a competitor to the United States in a way that Russia can't. I mean, Russia's economy is a fraction of the size of ours and China's. Russia is a nuclear power.